In the case of search and rescue, they rely heavily on their small handheld high-frequency walkie-talkies. It can be clumsy to try to recharge them. You know, most of the manufacturers offer wall warts or 12-volt chargers or whatever. Basically, with this, what we created was something that that a four-man rescue squad can extend a search effort an additional day or two. For the most part, you're going to charge a typical handheld walkie-talkie 6, 8, maybe 10 times from this. So you can appreciate if you had a four-man squad and one guy was carrying this, well, you can be in the field for another day, maybe two. In keeping kind of with what Hardened Power does, this thing is just, I really don't want to say it's indestructible because we're going to have somebody that's going to blow one up or shoot it or something. But you have to appreciate, this is made out of high-density polyethylene. Most of the pieces of HDPE are almost a half-inch thick. They're like slabs of solid plastic, very, very durable. The battery and all the internal components are bedded in silicone and epoxy. What it amounts to is one of the last stages of manufacturing is essentially to fill this box up with epoxy and silicone. What you create is effectively a solid mass. One of the main enemies of any kind of electrical or electronic component is movement. If things are allowed to wiggle and move, it's a matter of time. It's going to come loose or short out or simply stop working. And depending on what it is, it might be some very tiny thing that fails in a larger machine. But when that happens, the whole machine stops working. We're very comfortable describing this as crush-proof. There'll be another video. We'll drive over one with a truck and demonstrate that after that it's fine. Probably a bit scuffed up, but it'll work. One of the really significant things about this design is that it's waterproof. Not water resistant, waterproof. That claim has generated a lot of questions and comments and some challenges, and we've been answering those best we can. But again, part of the reason for the video is to address that stuff. One of the first things that a person who's any kind of a careful observer is going to say is that the power ports and the USB port are exposed, and they are. The electrical contacts are open to the air, and they're going to say, "Well, not waterproof." True, except for one of the design elements of this. You've got only two controls. They're both waterproof push-button switches. I think it's called L16. They're waterproof rated to what's called a low-pressure water jet from all directions. For our purposes, they're waterproof. Plus, the way we install them, they're countersunk, and then they're also bedded in silicone. In any event, you've got one switch that turns on the power, one switch that turns on or closes the circuit for the charging ports. What that means is that if both these switches are out, turned off, there is no power present at either the power out, the Andersons, the USB, or at the charging inlets. So while it's true that water can intrude, you can think of it like it can go halfway, it can't enter the case. And it can't short out because there's no power present at the contacts that are exposed to water. What we've done with our testing with great results, not a big deal, is pull it out of the water tank, shake it, blow it out, plug it in and use it. It helps a lot that we're talking low voltages. You're talking 12 volts. It works better resisting things like shorting out. It's just not a high enough voltage to be prone to doing that. The Revolt has, and it's a unique battery system. We've already had some circumstances where government agencies and some large corporations, when they're considering a purchase of a device that they're not familiar with, one of the things they have to do is competitively quote it. Makes sense, whatever. They got to collect some number, 3, 4, 5 different suppliers, and then compare, hopefully apples to apples, and make a decision. Happily, we've had to help some of those agencies kind of contend with the fact that they can't competitively quote the Revolt. In fact, we've had the same thing happen with the juice box. You can get things that do similar things, but you can't get something like the juice box, and you can't get anything like the Revolt. It is a unique device. We're real excited and very encouraged by the reaction and by initial sales, by some of the feedback we're already starting to get with what people are doing with them. In terms of what you can actually do with this thing, charging the cell phone, definitely. It's got a USB port. A lot of cell phones, smartphones, tablets are able to be charged through their USB, so you can plug the phone or the tablet or whatever into the USB. It's also got the same thing we put in the juice box and the Tough Pups, which is the Anderson connections. So the Revolt ships with just a simple adapter. You plug this into the Andersons in the front of the unit, and then you've got a standard cigarette style outlet. The other ports here are for the smart charger that ships with the juice box, that plugs into the faceplate. It's got a standard computer style cord that plugs in, plug it into the wall. That's a smart charger, meaning plug it in, forget about it. That's a little unusual. Sometimes with nickel metal hydride, you're told to charge it for a certain period of time, no longer. Charge it for 2 hours, no more. Charge it for 5 hours, no more. We're not going to do stuff like that to our customers. Real life has a habit of intruding on things. Plug it in, walk away. And actually, this brings us to one of the challenges that we've had from people who frankly know what they're talking about, and they question the fact that the battery is actually encapsulated, and therefore how does it shed the heat, because nickel metal hydride can get hot during charging. And you can limit the life of a battery cell if you get it too hot by overcharging it, especially if you do it over and over again. We've addressed that with the Revolt